digging into the data behind the data, right? All really getting into the numbers. That's what a law firm owner scaling needs to do.
This is what I've learned. The stuff I was doing that got me here is not the same thing that's going to get me to the next level.
If you spend the dough, you're probably going to make out okay. It's not going to just be a bonfire of dough. You're probably going to get that back, but you need to have the stomach to outlay that.
So here's the other thing. Here's the other little dirty secret is
The Earley Show will begin after a brief word from today's sponsor, Answering Legal. Visit answeringlegal.com to learn more about our 24/7 virtual receptionist team.
So I do residential real estate, primarily landlord-tenant. My area of practice is high volume. It's a lot of clients and it's a lot of calls that I get. Before answering legal, I would have to take every single call or know that it was going to a voicemail and likely to another attorney. So it has been crucial for me to have answering legal and to have a live person answering the call and being the first line of contact for a prospective client.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Earley Show, sponsored by our friends over at Answering Legal. As always, we bring you the very best in the legal industry. Today, we have a real treat. We have my friend, Seann Malloy. I've known Seann for a number of years. I've been in a mastermind group with Seann. I've gotten to know him, and I have a lot of admiration for him because he's done a really nice job of scaling up his law firm, which is located in the DMV. That's DC, Maryland, Virginia. He's got numerous offices. I look at him he's a strong entrepreneur, strong marketer. He's been through a few things, had a few lessons, I'm sure, along the way of his path to, growing an 8-figure firm. So, he's the real deal. And so we're going to learn from him. So as always, make sure you sharpen those pencils. I'm sure there'll be plenty of writer downers. So Seann, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So I wanted to have you on because I look at you as a very humble guy, but yeah, you're a very, savvy entrepreneur. You've built up a big practice. And so I see in you, a lot of persistence, right? A lot of resilience. So that's what I think is just one of the many things commendable about you. But I want to talk with you about obviously how you built up your practice. That's going to give the audience a ton of value. But before we even get there, could you just kind of start at the start, your upbringing, brothers and sisters, mom and dad, what was it like growing up? And how do you think your upbringing imprinted and impacted you to be the entrepreneur you are today?
Sure. Good to see you. Yeah, we were in a mastermind group for a long time. One of Ken Hardison, so I got to know you. And, it's good to catch up with you. I always look forward to seeing you at conferences and whenever I can catch up with you. So I think, you said one thing, resiliency. I think that's the most important quality a lawyer could have. I think that's, especially doing what we do, plaintiff's personal injury and starting a firm and building it. If there's a mistake to be made, I probably made it. So, so I grew up in Columbia, Missouri. I'm actually from Columbia, Missouri, the middle of Missouri. It's a college town. It's where the University of Missouri is. It's about 2 hours from the nearest airport. And, great upbringing. It's a great town to grow up in. And 4 siblings. So there were 5 of us, raised by my mom. She did a really good job with us. It wasn't always apparent back then, but looking back on it, she did a really great job with us. Growing up, I went to the public schools in Columbia, Missouri. Sports were important. I just kind of fell into wrestling. I was a wrestler. I was actually pretty good at it. And, that was important to me. Let's see, what else did I do? Had my first job. I had when I was in high school, sacking groceries at a grocery store.
Nice.
So a job that probably doesn't even exist anymore, I don't think. But I remember I lied about my age to get a job with the local grocery store, sacking groceries. Probably not too different than being a personal injury lawyer. Instead of putting groceries in a bag, I'm putting settlements in a bag, I guess. I don't know. But no, I learned a lot, BSing with customers, getting to know people. You got to, it's a good job for a 15-year-old kid. And it just kind of went from there. I actually stayed in town, went to the University of Missouri, and then went to law school in New Orleans at Loyola, which is it was a great school. Got everything I needed out of that school, met a lot of good people, and ended up in Washington, D.C. So probably skipped over a lot of stuff, but yeah, I came here originally to do utility regulation because what happened was I became a night student. I always liked to work. I did a lot of other stuff, sports, had a lot of friends, but I always like to have a job, even from my earliest years, 14, 15 years old, doing something. And so in law school, I was pretty broke. I was looking around, I'm spending all day doing this, but they have a night program. So about halfway through my 3 years in law school, I went to them. I'm like, I see all these classes are offered at night too. Can I just take all my classes at night in their night program? And that allowed me to get a job in the legal department for this big utility company in New Orleans that had a bunch of nuclear power plants and a bunch of pipeline. They were in southern Louisiana, they're called Entergy. But they had a lot of assets all over the country, nuclear power plants and natural gas pipelines. And so I got a job in their legal department, and it was pretty interesting. And I was making pretty good money for back then. And I liked it, I liked that working during the day and in the legal department, and got exposed to a lot of stuff. So I ended up in Washington, D.C. to do utility regulation because I was working on a lot of that stuff. And then got here, and in the real world, it's, not what I imagined it would be. Wasn't what I wanted to do, and kind of ended up falling into a job as an associate attorney at a small plaintiff's personal injury firm in DC. And the pay was terrible. I remember the pay was so low, I had to defer my student loans to be able to take the job, which my wife was not too thrilled about. But I was happy to have the job because what happened is they gave me all the worst cases, all the most terrible cases that they had. And they're like, go try these cases, go knock yourself out. So I was doing jury trials on my own almost immediately.
Wow.
And that's how I learned. You got to recognize an opportunity when you have it. And if you can go learn how to be a really good trial lawyer on somebody else's dime, if you're a young lawyer, you should absolutely do that. So I did that for a while. Won a bunch of cases I probably shouldn't have, won a bunch of trials I shouldn't have won, and ended up getting a job at a much bigger firm in our area doing, business litigation, real estate litigation, various types, not personal injury. And I did that for a number of years, maybe 4 years. And then we had this one giant case out in Hawaii. It was a securities fraud case. We represented one group of people, and that was all I was working on for about a year and a half. I gradually stopped working on other stuff. And, that case, we went and tried the case, month-long trial in federal court in Honolulu. So I was spending a lot of time out there. And then it was over. And the firm was, our group, we didn't have a whole lot of other work because we just had that. And so I was let go. I got let go from this job. And I was kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to start my own firm. And it was 2009. And that's what I did. And started a firm. I didn't even have an office at first. Just had a laptop and a printer and a cell phone. And I had one client who she had a business, and I was doing a lot of work for her. And she had a pretty big government contracting business. And she said, here, just use some of my office space. You can, And I thought that was a good idea, and quickly learned that's not such a good idea because, she'd come in and just hang out in my office and ask, she always had all these legal dilemmas going on. So I eventually went and got, my own office, and it's just, I wasn't even doing personal injury at first. I was doing, this commercial litigation, the same type of litigation I'd been doing at this other firm that, and eventually, I hired a associate, hired a paralegal, and I remember I had this one, here's what got me back into personal injury. I had this one horrible, client, horrible 2-week trial in federal court, jury trial here in federal court in DC. Of course, she'd stiffed me on a bunch of bills. So it was one of these situations where it's like, well, you need to get a successful outcome in trial if you want your last couple invoices to be paid. She owed me a bunch of money, and we were just being another guy and a paralegal. Like, we needed that, we depended on that. And I remember we were 2-week trial. About halfway through the trial, they made a really good settlement offer, well into the 6 figures. What we should have been settling this case for. It was not a personal injury case. Client refused to settle her case, and ended up being a defense verdict. We lost, and I got, that it was a great. She refused to, didn't want to settle her case. Her case was not that great. And then I was thinking, enough of this feast or famine. What could I do I could set up and be a lawyer, but also be a businessman? Run the law firm like a business of law, not just be a guy practicing law. And I thought back to my early days doing personal injury, and I was like, I know how to do that. And so I signed up one personal injury case, and a second personal injury case, then another one, and it just kept going. And now we have 7 lawyers, 60 employees, bunch of different offices around. It's been great. I really enjoy it. I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. I really love doing this. I love our clients. I enjoy, doing a good job for them. They're always very thankful. They return the favor by referring people to us. We built a big local following here in the Maryland, DC, Virginia area. Like a huge extended, I kind of look at it like getting your tentacles out there, like a huge extended family. Like, once you're my client, you're in our big network, our big family. And I check on you. We send you stuff. We keep up with you, not just, regular marketing, but other little things that we do, send you gifts, invite you to events. And it's a powerful form of marketing, and people repay that. So anyway, I droned on for a while. That's kind of my, my story. But yeah, it's, I love it. It's, I have a lot more control over my life. I can really help our employees and young lawyers to really reach their full potential and become financially successful. And, it's great.
So I just want to unpack a few things. So this is kind of an odd question, but even going back in time, you said you applied at a grocery store, lied about your age. That's stuff that I would do just to get my opportunity, just to get my foot in the door. Just, because you got to just like insert yourself into opportunities. And I encourage the listener, I'm not encouraging, not like Sean, lying when you're a teenager about your age, but like stuff like inserting yourself into the conversation, creating opportunities, and betting on yourself and knowing that you belong in that room, right? That grocery store, wherever it is. But I'm curious. So
it would have taken anybody. I swear I'm 16 years old. Who gives a shit? Here's an apron, go sack this grocery over there.
So how many years out were you when you started your practice?
Let's see, 2004, 2009, 5 years. That's about right. I don't, looking back on it, I see a lot of successful people that start their own practice right away. But I got a lot of good experience being a litigator and trial lawyer. I think they're two totally separate things, being a litigator and a trial lawyer.
For sure.
But I gotta, on somebody else's dime, I got to really be exposed to a lot of different types of litigation and trial work.
Were you being taught, or were you learning in the courtroom, learning on the job?
Learning on the job, but still, there's somebody else's cases. Somebody,
Yeah.
I got to work on somebody else. There was very little handle, almost none. In this day and age, probably very few firms do a lot of that. It's just kind of thrown into the fire, but
That's how you grow.
Happy to
That's
have the
how you-
opportunity.
Absolutely. And so you started your practice. You didn't have any clients. You didn't have any clients when you first started. I think you said you had one, right? That's it.
Yeah, we just started with one.
Okay.
And then two, and then three, and then kept building from there.
And then, so you talk about resilience. So now you're up to how many? You said 60 some odd team members?
Yeah. Yeah, we got 60 employees. 5 of that, I was late to the hiring people in other countries. We've got 4 offshore ones. They're great. One that works in our marketing department. She's awesome. She's been with us for like 2 years. I hired her through Jason Melton's Regents. And then 3 other ones in the Philippines that do a lot of stuff for us. So, I'm realizing the opportunities out there. It's truly a global world, and some stuff you can certainly do with employees and anywhere.
Yeah. So just to put this in context, I mean, Seann started with nothing, really just started from scratch. Probably getting your
Less
teeth,
than nothing.
less than nothing, getting your teeth knocked in
Less
at
than nothing.
trials.
Although I did not take on any debt when I had a credit card with a $30,000 limit. That was it.
That was smart.
And
So how many offices?
I used that solely for marketing.
That's smart. How many offices do you have now?
We have maybe 12. So 12, 4 of them fully staffed. People come in every day. Other ones are, kind of staffed here and there as we need it. People that want to come in and meet with us.
Ballpark, how many, are you setting up over 100 cases a month at this point? What's your general?
Yes, it's close to doing. We're going to break 200 real soon.
200 cases a month?
Yeah, solid.
All right. So I asked questions to set the stage on Seann's success, right? Starting from nothing, and now he's signing up.
Let me interject something. When it was me and my associate at the time, who's still with me, 15, 16 years later, he's still practicing law with me. He's had great success with me. I make sure that, he has enjoyed a lot of success here. We used to, when we'd sign up 5 cases in a week, we used to go out and celebrate that Friday after work. I mean, that was a big week for us. So anyways, go ahead.
So I didn't know you were 200 cases a month. Okay. So that changes it a bit. So
personal injury and workers' comp, workers' comp is maybe 20% of what we do.
So, are you handling cases now, or are you just strictly running the business?
Strictly running the business. Occasionally I do jump in and do stuff. Difficult situation. Sometimes the attorneys are all, double booked on things. And I do this, and I find that this is good to do. If we're meeting, trying to figure out who's going to cover what person's stuff, I always say, what's the most undesirable task or whatever, hearing, deposition, whatever. What's the one nobody wants? I'll take that one. I always do that.
Why?
To let them know that I will do, I'll do anything here that needs to be done to make sure that this law firm is a success. Just give me the worst job. I'll go do it.
Yeah. Have you always been like that? Like, I'll roll up my sleeves. I'm up the floor.
I always have been. I think it's important to show the people that work for you that anything you ask them to do, you wouldn't hesitate to do in a second.
I love that.
Sometimes to this day, I still go. We have in our mastermind groups. I know you heard me talk on and on about our intake department. That was something that really kind of building an intake department, starting with just one intake person. Now we have 11. That was a big step, and really a difference maker doing that. And it was kind of my baby. I spent a lot of time with them, developing all our training material, training them, sitting alongside them, making calls, being an intake person myself, sitting with them. In our intake department, We don't offshore that. Those are all people here in the DC area that come into our office every day and work out of the office. And I think that's important for that cohesion and to make sure the professionalism is there, our standards are there. We run 2 shifts, 8 in the morning till 9 at night. I'm looking into the possibility of having a graveyard shift and a weekend shifts. And there, we pay them well. It's not an entry level position. We hire for personality first and foremost for that position. You don't need any legal experience. We'll teach you everything you need to know. I forgot what question you asked me to begin with before I started droning on. What was, I think you asked me, like, what was it do you remember when you first started to sign up a lot of cases? When we started to take intake seriously.
How long did it take you to it's always a work in progress, always needs to be, turns the dial. How long did it take you to really get your intake on lock in a tight spot where you were happy?
Years.
Like how many years?
Years. We still work on it. Sometimes if you don't pay attention, things will go off the rails. Everybody always talks about your paying attention to your numbers. You got to watch your numbers. That's true for intake. And intake is trickier because the metrics are trickier. You can't just say, how many cases did I sign up this week?
Right.
You got to look at how many outbound calls each person made, how many inbound calls they took, how many cases they signed up. What was their closing percentage, how many wanted cases did they close? And because it doesn't always tell, if somebody signed up a lot of cases one week, their outbound calls may be low. And that's understandable because they're on the phone with people, gathering information, talking to them, signing up a case. It takes a little while. And, or if somebody who usually does really well, they had an off week. How many outbound calls did they make? How many inbound calls did they make? If their numbers are high, well, they were trying. And maybe it's something else. Maybe you need to take a look at the cases that are coming in that week and your marketing sources. So it's trickier, the metrics for an intake department. Even to this day, sometimes I'll go back there and I'll say, give me a list of people that are on the fence that you think could benefit from talking to the head lawyer whose name is on the firm. And we use lead dockets. So they'll get me a bunch of cases, a bunch of potential clients with intake packets out. And I'll sit back there with them. Even to this day, I'll do it sometimes. And I'll call all of these people and talk to them. And everybody can hear what I'm saying. They can hear how I talk to the potential clients. And a lot of times I can get a lot of them to sign up on the phone. I'm getting a call out of the blue from the head lawyer at this firm.
Right. You must really want to help me.
That's it. It's a nice touch. I'm pretty busy, so I can't. I try to. If I can do it once a week, something like that, I'll try to do it. If I can do it more frequently.
I've heard you mention that. I like that a lot. Let me ask you this question though: how do you do that without stepping on toes of your intake people? Like, how are you doing that without they don't care?
They don't care because their bonus structure, their pay. It's
So you're helping them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not taking that. They're getting the credit for that.
Right. No, that's good. That's good.
They're having the forethought to bring that potential client to me and ask me to call.
That's fantastic. And you finished that before, I didn't forget that. How often are you looking at your intake data?
Every 10 days. We meet to go over it every 10 days. We have a manager of the intake department. She's fantastic. And we go over that data with marketing data. So it's like a joint meeting, marketing and intake. Just the managers and me. We go over all the data because it's so intertwined.
Yeah. Yep. So let me ask you this. So a lot of lessons here. You're obviously into data, like digging into the data, behind the data, right? Really getting into the numbers. That's what a law firm owner scaling needs to do. Right now, you're signing up what 2,400 clients a year, just ballpark, right? Rough number. At first, you started with one client. Could you identify a couple progressions in your journey that helped you? Because this is obviously this took you a lot of years, but were there a couple of things I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I had the courage to do that. I'm glad I stopped doing that. Anything in particular you think that substantially moved you up with your side, with growing?
Yeah. Establishing an intake department. That's the big one. We have our own in-house marketing. There's a lot of good vendors out there. I meet these guys. I talk to them at these conferences. SEO vendors. There's so many in the space in personal injury, but and I've worked with a number of them. And what I found is if you could find a way to take that all in-house and have your own captive marketing vendor, you should do it. That's another thing that helped me. We have a very built out marketing department. We do our own paid Google PPC in-house, Google LSA. We have a bunch of guys who do SEO. We've invested in some more advanced software. We've got social media. We still use vendors. We still will work with vendors for very niche things, for discrete projects, certain things. You've seen the video content I put out there.
Yeah.
A lot of it's just, this.
Yeah.
So
Sure. Get it out there.
We do work with other vendors. We work with a vendor called Coolfire for more polished video content. They're great. So we will work with other vendors to kind of supplement our capabilities.
So a couple lessons here. And one thing I've, heard you say before is you're a very aggressive marketing spender, right? You're very, bullish on spending money to get, to generate cases, right? And I think that's important. I have recently adopted that. We're about 25%, 30% spend right now relative, to gross.
Yeah.
But I think I took that from you as well as some other people is like, you gotta actually probably in particular you, because you would talk about that all the time in these meetings. Hey, I'm spending a lot. I'm like, this guy's spending a ton of dough. Like, no, I get it. Because a lot of people say
you're paying taxes on it. And if you're in our stage where you and I are, and even, younger guys that have had maybe guys that have had their firm for less years than ours, you're in a growth phase.
Yeah.
And spending a lot on marketing and bringing these cases in, that's part of it, but you got to nurture your family. I mean, we have a category, every case you get in that's a referral, prior client, they're easier to sign up and you didn't spend any money on.
Yep. Do you know what percentage of your signups are referrals from clients?
I'd say it's probably a third now.
That's a lot.
And it's been steadily going up.
Compounding.
When we started out, it was pretty low, but it's been steadily going up. And that's, I anticipate that many years from now, it'll be an even greater percentage. And then maybe, I could shift the spending I'm doing, spend money differently, maybe spend less on marketing. I don't know.
As you scaled and grew, how was your retention? Did you lose people as you broke through levels of growth? What did that look like as you were going from basically 0 to 8?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we do. Yeah, absolutely. Hiring's a struggle. Any lawyer who does what we do, you know that hiring's a struggle. COVID, I was not willing to just let everybody dissipate, go work from home 100% of the time. I think that interaction with each other face to face is important. We do have some remote work that's being done, but I like to try to, have people coming into the office. I know that's counter to what a lot of people do, but I think that face-to-face interaction, that training, all the communication that goes on the sidelines is important. A lot of learning goes on that way that you just can't get with employees working remotely from their houses. So that's important. But some people didn't like that, so we've, lost some people that value the, being able to work from home all the time. Another thing that I learned is you got to pay attention to the pay scales in your market, what people are being paid. And you got to try to be ahead of that, just a little bit ahead of that, because you have a key employee leave. I mean, you're losing so much money in the downtime, having to find a replacement, hiring them. Half the time it's not a good hire. You got, the risk of a bad hire. It would be easier to just give that person the raise. Right. Pay them a little bit more than you want to.
No brainer,
So
right?
that was a hard lesson that I learned the hard way over time. I'm sure Boston is a competitive market.
It is.
We're always getting head, recruiters calling my folks.
Yeah, that's the way
But
it is.
the good thing is I have some employees who've been with me 15 years to 10 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's
That's a
you
big
gotta treat
deal.
people well, you gotta pay them what they're worth for sure.
Why do you get so many client referrals? Because I'm really obsessed with that. That's where such opportunity lies. Like, why are you getting so many client referrals? What's your approach? How do you train your team, your culture? Why is that working so well?
So you gotta have a good machine. You gotta be able to handle the cases well. You gotta preach taking care of the client, and they're the most important thing. And I think if I've been on the inside, I've seen the inside of other firms where maybe the attorneys go around and they disparage the clients. If the attorneys don't like their clients, that trickles down. The staff copy what the attorneys are doing.
100%.
Sure. So you gotta let everybody know Seann Malloy really values these clients. He's always going to put them first and treat them well. And that trickles down too. And if the employees model your behavior, so it establishes a culture. But if you're a lawyer goes, this client's calling again, Jesus, I hate these clients. Just walking around the hall saying that or whatever, other people hear you, that trickles down. You can't do that. That's you're establishing, whether you realize it or not, you're establishing the culture of your firm.
Yeah.
So that's one way, just making sure, that is embedded in our firm, treat the clients well. They come first. That's why we're doing this. And then, just, the other thing, personal injury laws is tough. You could hand a client $100,000 settlement check,
Mm-hmm.
and a year or two later, they get into a car accident. They may not remember who you were.
They won't unless
Who
you do
was
something
that?
about it.
I can't tell. I don't remember. So, reach out to them. If they're somebody that refers people to you, we have this little group, this ambassador club. We used to host a lot of events. We kind of got away from that, and we've shifted more towards kind of doing nice stuff for people. Little mini events, giving them gifts throughout the year, stuff that they would actually want, not just plastic crap. We got because people have busy lives. Are they going to be able to come to a barbecue that Seann Malloy's throwing? More than not, more likely they're not going to be able to do that. They've got kids, they've got jobs, So, but they will like nice stuff that I send them as gifts. Not, nowadays, like a lot of stuff we send, we don't brand it. I don't stamp Malloy Law Offices on it because I'm just, I just want to give them something with no strings attached. Just, hey, you've referred a bunch of cases to us over the years. We really appreciate it. Here's a nice Yeti cooler. Here's a nice, here's a dinner on us. Here's, without stamping my name on it.
That's nice. That's nice. It's genuine. See, that's so important. I encourage the audience to identify who are those clients that refer the most cases, right? Because some clients
you should definitely be aware of that. You absolutely should. You figure out your system. Like, okay, do I group everyone together who's referred at least 2 people to us, at least 3 people to us? You can have different levels.
100%.
You got to nurture. Call if you got a guy who's referred 10 people to you. You got to have him in your cell phone. You got to call him, just check on, hey, how you doing? Anything I can do for you? How's life? How are the kids? Like, you got to be aware of who's referring cases to you.
100%. Yeah. And that goes back to data. You need to have a list, right? We call them mavens, like, clients, they're ambassadors for you. How is your ambassador club? How is it today? I know you started, people wouldn't show up, and that's understandable. Are you still running? Are you still doing those meetings? How is it going now with turnout?
Yeah, we do. We have maybe 1, maybe 2 a year. Turnouts, it depends on where we have them. We're in a big spread out area. We've shifted a little more towards, giving people gifts, letting them know we appreciate them. that sort of thing.
That's
Scale
awesome.
back the once a quarter event that we throw.
That's awesome.
We're still doing events. Like we do a lot of charity stuff. We partner with a lot of schools to get, give away stuff, backpacks. We're partnering with this, schools in low income areas. We're packaging up Thanksgiving dinners to give away to families. A lot of these schools, have public service apparatus attached to them. So there's a lot of opportunity to get involved with those public schools.
It's
Do
important.
stuff for the families for the kids at these schools.
Being out in the community is so important. We're doing that more and more. Let me ask you, what's your greatest challenge now, today, at your level of scale? What's the challenge? Biggest?
So this is what I've learned. The stuff I was doing that got me here is not the same thing that's going to get me to the next level. I'm not precisely sure what it is that I need to be doing, the changes I need to make to get me to the next level. This next big rung. But I'm learning, the way that Seann Malloy learns, trial and error. So, and I try to be around, smart, successful people as much as I can and meet them and talk to them and learn from them.
Looking back, I know you said you wish you kind of paid more generously earlier in the game, but you adopted and you changed, you evolved. Any other things looking back you kind of wish you could get a redo on that maybe would help the audience avoid some of those mistakes?
Oh gosh, paying closer attention to my numbers earlier.
Yeah.
That's so important to know your numbers. They're, and look at them frequently, not just once a month or once a quarter. I think you need to look at them more frequently than that. We meet every 10 days. I have this, we use FileMine and Lead Docket, but I use the software Domo that has real-time metrics for your whole firm. So
It's awesome.
Immediately look at it. It's pretty useful.
I'm just curious because I just thought of a question listening to you there. Can you go away from the office for a while and it runs without you? Or are you at the point where, no, you have to be around for certain
Well,
things?
I can leave and it still runs.
Really? Okay.
It's weird. People will track me down. Oh, I got this problem, that problem. But I find that if I'm not here, the same problems exist. They just get taken care of. People, they still resolve, it's fine if I'm not here.
So I find like my chief responsibility right now is, among many things, primarily marketing. Like I look at myself as like the marketer, right? Are you the same way, or do you identify as having other roles in the organization?
No, I'm the chief marketer. I'm the face of the firm. I do a lot of stuff with the marketing department. A lot of new initiatives. I mean, that's what I work on. A lot of new initiatives, like where the process, our lease is up in our main office. I'm working on trying to buy a building right now.
Good for you.
We're looking at setting up offices in some new markets. So just, that's what I'm spending a lot of time doing, spearheading new initiatives.
Good. Always growing. So you said before, what got you here won't get you there. So looking back, was there one particular tough decision or something that got you so freaked out, but you did it anyway? Like, is there one or a couple of scary things you did? Because we're all taking bets. You and I are taking bets all the time. We hit and we lose some. But is there something that you think you were so uncomfortable because you had to keep growing as a person?
Yeah.
Is there a chance you took that, okay, that worked out pretty well. That got us out of that level to the next level?
Oh gosh. Committing myself to some big marketing spends.
Yes, I hear you.
That's pretty scary.
100%.
This is a lot of money. How am I going to do this for the rest of the, can I do this? That some of those marketing spends that we got into, that's scary. It's a lot of money when you look at it, and you're taking a real gamble. But that's the scary thing about marketing. Sometimes the only way to find out if it's going to work is just to do it. Sometimes it doesn't work. If a friend in another state or city had good luck with buses or billboards, there's no guarantee that's going to work for you. or something
Right.
like that. Just gotta try it.
Right. I feel like, and this is where I feel like we have the same exact approach. I mean, I think you're speaking my language, first of all, but second of all, is if you spend the dough, you're probably going to make out okay. It's not going to just be a bonfire of dough. You're probably going to get that back, but you need to have the stomach to outlay that, to look the other way. Like when you write that check, it's hard, but you see, that's why you're at that point, is because you've been uncomfortable. You've been comfortable being uncomfortable. Most attorneys will not write the check. It's too freaking scary. They like to sleep at night, and they're probably rational people. I think you and I are probably a little irrational people in our circles that just take big bets and they write those checks. But we know it's the other. It's going to come back. We're going to be okay. We just have to get over that pain.
So here's the other thing. Here's the other little dirty secret is a lot of marketing, a lot of the scariest marketing doesn't pay off for many years.
Right.
What I call slow burn marketing, billboards, buses, maybe radio, but maybe radio is a little faster burning. Just, it's scary. The spend is scary. You do it for a year and you want to pull the plug on it, but you gotta resist the urge to do it.
So hard.
For 2 years, you gotta resist the urge to do it. You gotta stay in there for like 5 years. You gotta be the guy that's on these channels, doing, these shows every morning, or on the buses, or on these billboards, and you can't just do it for 1 year or 2 years. You got to hang in there for many years. Look at the guys that are successful doing it. They didn't find success after a year or after 2 years. And that was a lesson that I had to learn, kind of the hard way. There were certain, early on, there were things, I didn't start getting calls in and after a year, oh, this is too much money. I got to pull out of this. You're getting out of that too early. Got to hang in there.
Are there any of those big initiatives you realized it's not going to take off?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a time where I had a big spend with wrapped Ubers. Remember me talking about this in our corporate? Yeah, we had one. We hung in there with that for years, and then sometimes it's okay to say, no, this isn't working. I'm getting out of this.
We tried.
I think the public thought those people were my actual employees driving around in these. You pay, so there are vendors out there. We used Carver ties. You pay them a fee, and they go round up all these Uber drivers and wrap their car in like a wrap that's your advertising, and they're all over the road. And it's just kind of funny what we're doing looking back on it. One time, one exploded on the side of the road. It was in all local media. I put it out on my own social media because it was just, so ridiculous. This personal injury lawyer, just up in flames on the side of the road.
Oh my God.
We had people calling the office, hey, your employee just cut me off. Do something about him. Or, can you call your employee who's asleep in the car outside of my house and tell him to move? And these were all the Uber drivers that had my face on the side.
That's too much. That's awesome.
So nobody thinks we got out of that. We had our mobile billboard is buses, it's better quality. Nobody thinks the bus driver works for Seann Malloy.
Right. Yeah. But see, that's the feel part of being an entrepreneur, is like knowing when to withstand more pain and when to just fail.
Yeah.
Right.
It's okay. It's okay sometimes to say, this isn't, I'm going to find something better.
Yeah. Yeah. But at least you tried. And that's the thing, to have that stomach, to give it a year, give it 2 years. Like, that's hard, man. That's so hard. So hard. We're doing billboards now. It's a slow burn,
Yeah, good for you. I see that. Yeah.
Thanks. But it's a slow, you get it. You know what it's like. You're like, why is the phone ringing immediately? And then what happened a couple days ago? Attorney out of state saw it and he called me. There's just so many, things that
got to be, the person who's been driving to work for 3 years, seeing your face.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they need a person. Because in our business, nobody needs you until they need you.
Yep.
It's a weird, it's a weird service we're selling. Nobody needs you until they need you.
Yeah, 100%. So this has been fascinating. Let me ask you a couple last final questions.
Sure.
What keeps you up at night? Anything in particular related to business?
Yeah, worrying about all the stuff I don't know. You got to trust your staff and trust your processes.
Yeah.
worrying about that, like every case is getting handled well. But, that's why you have to constantly work on your processes and make sure that all your staff, your attorneys all bought in to what you're doing. That keeps me up at night. Yeah. What's the future of what we do? That keeps me up at night.
Yes.
It's constantly evolving.
Yep.
Got to stay ahead of the game. Got to constantly be learning, because I think it's changing at an even faster rate.
Yep. AI, everything.
Yep.
For sure. What's your greatest success in life so far?
Oh God. Wife and kids. Married a fantastic woman. 2 15-year-old kids. I try to spend as much time with them as I can.
I love it. Seann, how can people get in touch with you?
You can call me. You mean, other lawyers?
Anybody. Yeah, they referral. They want to talk to you. They like your story.
My cell phone's 202-491-9637. That's my cell phone. I walk around all day in my pocket. Anyway, if you reached out through social media, the marketing department's going to send that to me immediately, especially if I love to talk about this stuff. You're lucky you've got this great podcast. I love the name. You get to talk to people about marketing and management, personal
So cool.
all the time. I love talking about it too.
I know you do.
If any lawyer ever wants to talk about any of it, feel free to reach out to me.
I appreciate you. Again, admire the growth, admire most of all the humility, because you've been through a lot, and I love the drive. Keep going, man. I'm a big fan. I love what you're doing. You're creating great jobs for great people. You're delivering services at a high level. You're, again, humble. You're willing, as I said, to mop the floor. And I never thought of it like that, but I need to do that more, by the way. I need to take ego aside and do those things and make those intake calls, right? And do those things. Because that's what we did when we first started.
Because nobody's going to do let them see how you do it. Let them see how Chris Earley does.
Yeah. I love it. Many lessons. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Seann.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Good to catch up with you. Can't wait to see you again at the next conference or meeting that we get to catch up
same.
with.
I can't wait. Thank you so much. All right, that's it for this episode of The Earley Show. Be sure to check out more episodes of our show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Answer Legal YouTube channel.